we've seen over the last few months is an extremely important thing for American people to be able to do to protect themselves. And of course, we need more transparency and accountability in government because that's what helps to prevent tyranny. Now, if you go to the article, it's at freethoughtproject.com. It gives you contact info for the governor to demand that he veto the amendment to this bill. So let your voice be heard and let him know that you are not happy about that. But some good news, I guess, for standing up to the nanny state. Texas lawmakers today wanted to just remind everyone that, yes, it is legal to say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah in schools without fear of repercussions. As we've seen, a lot of the protesters were saying that it was offensive for Darius Rucker, a black man, to sing White Christmas in New York. This stuff is just getting out of control. Now, coming up, Rob Dew sits down with the communications director of a health share organization. They are offering you an alternative to Obamacare.
Introducing Secret 12, the new INFOWARS Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical-grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Introducing the first proprietary oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, OxyPowder, backed by FDA-approved phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials. All the toxins from the air, the food, the water ultimately ends up in the gut or affects the gut. Take your health into your own hands and start cleansing your body today with OxyPowder. Secure your OxyPowder today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Welcome back to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm your host, Rob Dew. Thanks to Leanne McAdoo for doing the news portion of the show. Yesterday, I put out a video called 3 Easy Ways to Avoid Obamacare. And what I was specifically talking about were the fees associated with Obamacare, because I don't think any of us are going to be able to avoid Obamacare entirely. This is going to turn into a giant monstrosity that's going to drive up healthcare costs, get rid of doctors, lower your options, and make you pay more out of pocket. And that's going to affect everybody downstream from that. But what I was specifically referring to were these health share ministries that cropped up in the 90s to basically help people pay for their medical expenses collectively as a group instead of relying on a giant insurance company. We are now joined by the communications director of libertyhealthshare.org, Matthew Bellis. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Now, let's get into Obamacare. People were, when this was being written, it was done in secrecy. It was voted on in weird ways. Nobody ever saw what was going to be voted on. It's thousands of pages in length when it, healthcare shouldn't be that complicated. And now we're finding out that, the costs are going up. There's no more private doctors are going down. Rural hospitals are closing. What have you seen with Obamacare? What's really, what's gotten under your skin about this new program?
Well, we exist primarily for people who of religious faith and ethical beliefs to break free and be an alternative to health insurance. And so when the Affordable Care Act came around, we said we've got to provide this known alternative for people. And so I wouldn't say it's exactly what's gotten under our skin, but more or less that we feel that we need to present a different stance and an alternative to people who want to do their health care in a different way.
Okay. And insurance in general, I've had not a condition, but an accident back in 2012. I tore my left ACL, having torn my right 20 years previously.
Okay.
And I could never reach the deductible. And that's a big thing that people have don't see that. It's like the hidden cost of health insurance. You don't realize, well, in addition to paying your premiums every month, you have to reach a certain level, $5,000, maybe even $10,000, before the insurance company even decides to kick in any money. And, you know, that's something different about Liberty Share. Talk a little bit about that and how you're what you guys don't really call a deductible, but how you do it a little differently than what most insurance companies offer.
Sure. Well, want to make sure we understand clearly that we aren't an insurance company, and we're glad to be, and I'm sure you're aware of that.
Right.
And so the kind of terminology that we use is not the terminology that insurance company use, but people who are a part of Liberty Health Share kind of go through some of the same processes, but there are pretty distinct differences. With people who come through our membership and our program, whenever they go to the doctor, they have their first set amount that we say that they're responsible for. It is $500 for an individual, $1,000 for a couple, $1,500 for a family, and from that point on, all of the dollar amounts that are a part of any type of medical bill are then shared amongst the community. So this is person-to-person medical cost sharing. It is individuals reaching out and giving another individual who is in need a monthly share amount.
Right, which is different than, you know, insurance companies. You're paying your money each month to a giant corporation who then doles it out. They hold on to it. They create a giant bureaucracy or red tape to try, in my opinion, to try not to pay you. They try to get out of that because they're a for-profit company. And the way you guys are set up is individuals are sending money directly to people, and that's how you get around it, calling it insurance. Is that correct?
Well, there's a couple of things that we don't do that insurance companies do. Insurance companies, they spread out the risk, they transfer risk, and they promise to pay. And we don't do those things. One of those things, we don't transfer risk. We're all considered self-pay patients who are working together and helping one another pay off each other's medical bills. And that also means that we are all responsible for our own medical care. But we are voluntarily coming together and saying, you're a fellow man in need, and we want to be of help and of service to you. So the monthly amount that I would normally give to somebody, I'm going to give to you. And we do that stuff all in the back office, and we line people up with the shares and the needs. But we have found that people are able to take care of their medical bills, successfully take care of their medical bills, when it's done on a voluntary basis like that. What the executive director of our company likes to say that what a contract giveth, a contract can taketh away. And there's a whole industry of lawyers out there whose whole goal in life is to help get the insurance companies to pay. And we don't have that. We have individuals, person to person, helping each other with their medical expenses when they come up.
Yeah, and that, you know, we've had these videos of Gruber coming up saying we got to figure out how we can hide this and not call it a tax so people will approve it. And people are being sold something that really, you know, in the long run isn't going to help them. We've seen, you know, the healthcare going down in this country. But one thing I like about Liberty Health Share and the other health share ministries that are out there, they always have an accountability section. It's not, hey, I'm going to take care of you. It's you take care of yourself first. We're there to help you, but and to share in the responsibility of the high cost of healthcare is what it's turned into. But you guys aren't you know, forcing anyone on this. You're not forcing anyone to play by a certain set of rules. You're like, here's our game field. If you want to come on it, you're welcome to, but it's all voluntary. There's nobody forcing you to get into this with a gun, which at Obamacare, they're starting to get that way. It's everybody's got to have it. But talk about the accountability aspect of it.
In what regard? The accountability of our members to members or our members to the community? How is that?
Well, just in essence, the whole, you know, how we are accountable for our health, but by us all being accountable also to each other and helping each other out, it kind of just, it makes a giant, you know, boat, arc, whatever you want to call it, where everything's being taken care of and it's done efficiently.
Yeah. Again, we were all self-pay patients, and we're all individuals, and we, like I said before, voluntarily work with one another. And we found that's the best way to get the best results. We're all free people, and we should be able to live out those freedoms and help each other whenever there's need. We are a group of people that say we're not necessarily for the healthy people, but we're here for the health conscious people, the people who aren't going to put off taking care of their bodies, next year or next week until they get sick. We're going to take measures right now to take care of our bodies. So we eat the right foods, we exercise, we do the things so that we don't get sick. And that is part of the reason why we don't have the exorbitant costs that you find in other healthcare programs. So we're accountable to each other in the regard that we want to take care of ourselves on the front end, but also we're accountable to each other on the back end. We're saying, just like a Marine says, we're not going to leave a buddy behind lines, we're not going to leave our members out to dry whenever they come up with medical bills. We're going to help them pay those things off, and we have a track record of doing so rather successfully.
Yeah, you guys have been in operation since the 90s. Talk a little bit about the history of Liberty Health Share, how it kind of reformed a few years ago, and then how you got into this, and what attracted you to this business model.
Sure. Liberty Health Share is a reformulation of a previous medical cost sharing group called Christian Financial Death Assistance. They were a group of individuals who helped pay off end-of-life expenses when it came to hospice care, final surgeries that might be needed, things like that. And whenever the Affordable Care Act was upheld by the Supreme Court, we felt that it was time to reformulate that whole group, make it to a broader sense of health care, offer it to people who are like mind and like faith and like ethics, who want to take care of each other, and bring that to America at large and say this is a viable, available option that you can take hold of right now. We kind of say that we're not for everybody. Not everybody is going to grab on to the ideas and the prospects of being in a medical cost sharing group, but we're here for those who want to go down that path, who want to know exactly who they're giving their money to, who want to take control of their health care, who want to minimize costs, and want to be a part of that community. So that's how we kind of got started, where we came from. Myself personally, I was a member of Liberty Health Share before I was the communications director. My wife, in September of last year, got a letter from her insurance company. We had just had our first child, David, and her insurance premiums were going to go up pretty substantially. Just for her and our son, we found out that premiums were going to go up to around $830. And that was not taking care of me. And I said, you know what, we got to look into Liberty Health Share.
And that's per month too, right? That's per month. That's not on a yearly basis. That's coming out every month, $830. Yeah.
Right. That was the traditional insurance program.
For two people.
For two people. Yeah. For my wife and our son.
Right.
And we said, that's just not doable. We can't do that. And so we looked into Liberty Health Share, and she was skeptical. And we are, I'm somebody who says, yeah, let's do it. Let's work it out, and we'll find out if it works or not later on. And she wanted to make sure that all the ducks are in the row right away. Well, come actually earlier in 2014, in April, I got sick, actually. And it was a pretty substantial disease. It was called hilar sarcoidosis. I spent some time in the hospital, had some procedures done, and we found firsthand how the community comes together and successfully pays off medical bills. It was a great experience. We had never gone to the doctor before, but once we had Liberty Health Share and we needed it, we found out the people were there. And it was a great personal story to say, wow, this really is something that works. And they said that they needed a communications director, and I was very much for Liberty Health Share, and so I took on that position. So.
Well, and it does take a leap of faith to jump into a health sharing system, because you're not, it doesn't have, like, insurance has this giant, kind of institutionalized feel to it, and people trust insurance, and they've been told and ingrained in and brainwashed into thinking they have to have it, and they don't think of things differently. So it's definitely a different way of thinking outside the box. And you know, we had the same system too. I'm with Samaritan Ministries, and my wife had an issue earlier this year. It cost us about not that much, $650 after all the bills were paid. We sent in all the receipts. You know, the way you talk to the healthcare providers is you say, I don't